Browns radio analyst Nathan Zegura talking about the challenges of keeping four quarterbacks on the roster. We've heard plenty about this.
It's a lot of people to carry at that position. Not to say that it isn't the most important position in the NFL. It most certainly is, but I just think that is it, with what you need on game day. Now, the fact that you can elevate a couple people throughout the week gives you a little bit more flexibility. If you didn't think that, for example, your third tight end would be somebody who would be poached off your practice squad. If you didn't think maybe your sixth wide receiver was somebody who wouldn't be poached off your practice squad. If you thought maybe your ninth offensive lineman was somebody you could get away with being there, you have the ability to elevate those people a few times a year. So that is a way that they could go about doing it and still getting what they want out of their, the game day active roster. But it would put a lot of stress on it, because I think when you look at this team and you look at it historically speaking, you're going to have 23 or 24 on offense. It is not going to be 25-25 split. There you're going to skew towards the defensive side. And I think at Browns, let's say it's 24 and 26.
Yeah, I get that. What are your thoughts just about how that whole quarterback landscape lays out as we head into training camp? I know you wrote an article about that, so take us through that. And the four quarterbacks is definitely a big question.
Yeah, I think it's easy to sit on, for us today, June 27th or the end of June, and say, well, hey, they could keep four. I think it's a different story when you get to training camp, when you see what these guys bring to the table. Let's face it, almost at least once a year, there's an injury to another team's quarterback or a backup quarterback, and then some team is kind of left scrambling, looking for a backup quarterback, and that's what necessitates things like Andrew Berry trading Josh Dobbs for a fifth round pick a couple years ago. So, it's one thing to say that on June 27th that's a possibility. I think it's another thing to actually see it in action. You're doing the math on your roster, and you keep an extra quarterback. That's one less maybe offensive lineman you get to keep, or that's one less defensive alignment you get to keep. And some of those are two positions that this team clearly values, especially with the Jim Schwartz system and how many injuries they've had up front of the offensive line over the years. So it's like those things all kind of add up. I also just think, like, if you keep four, it kind of is a disservice to all the other quarterbacks, because on some level, you're going to start one of them, yes, but then it's like, how many of these guys are you going to try to go through in a single season? And I get, like, you could argue from an injury standpoint with how things have gone the last couple of years for this team, maybe they need four quarterbacks, but I just think, like, you need to. It almost feels like if you keep all four, that you haven't really made up your mind. Like, you're like, well, Joe Flacco might have looked the best, so we're going to start him. But we still really like Kenny Pickett, where we kind of want to go to him. But we also have these two rookies that we really. It's like, I think you got to make a decision on something there. And like I said, I feel like there will be a situation where some team needs a backup and you try to trade them. Maybe that doesn't come to fruition. I think you can maybe keep four for a short period of time. I don't know if you can, and even maybe beyond the first cut down, going into that weekend, they keep four. But I don't know if it's something that you get to week one and they actually have four quarterbacks on this roster when it's all said and done.